I think this should be fine now. We can skip this part. You guys know who I am. Okay, guys. So we are recording. Moderator, are we recording? Yes, it's recording. Great. Thank you, guys. Welcome. It's a rough start this morning, guys. My apologies. My PowerPoint has gone a bit wonky, but I realized that there was an update that I needed to do. So my apologies for that. But welcome to day 2, guys. Now, for those who weren't here on Monday, we did not start any lessons. Today is your first lesson. And today we're starting with an introduction to social media. But I don't know if your brain works the same way my brain works, but in order for me to understand any concept, any information, I have to go back to the beginning and kind of figure out why, the 5 W's, the why, the what, the where, the when, and the how. The W is at the end of how, don't at me, okay? And so in all my sessions, what I like to do is take you guys back and give you what I call the backstory. So what I'm about to say to you makes sense, okay, guys? And so let's talk about the internet. Because before we talk about social media, we have to talk about the internet. So at first, we had the web, call it Web 1, the original granddaddy web. That was launched all the way back in the 1990s, the 99s, okay? By a gentleman by the name of, and I'm going to forget his name, Lee. Let's just say his last name is Lee. Don't remember what his first name is. He wanted to find a way to share information between universities. He was a researcher. And he wanted to find a way to share information that he has found with other researchers in the different universities. And they came up with the web. Long story short, they came up with the web, which was an internal linked system whereby I could upload a piece of information and it could get shared by another computer that was linked into that system, right? Or another server. And to this day, that is still how the internet works. Now, I just gave you an extremely truncated history of the internet with some very shady information in terms of this man's name. But believe me, that's how it started, right? And then the internet went live back in the 1990s. It went live. And now more persons, because at the time it went live, more persons now had home computers, or what we call personal computers, like desktops. So they could also access the internet. Cut a long story short, Web 2.0 came in about, I want to say, about 2010, thereabouts, although the precursor to social media platforms were blogs, what they call online journals, but I'm not going to go that far, right? But I wanted to talk about Web 2.0 because Web 2.0 is the genesis of social media. It's where persons really started to get into the sharing of content. Because originally, how the web worked was I go on, I have access to the server, I go on, I upload something to a website or a web page at the time. And if you had access, you could read the content or the information that I would have uploaded. So it was very much one-sided. So I, as the content creator, would upload, and at the time, they were called content creators. I would upload something, and then if you have access to it, you could go and read what I uploaded, but you could not respond or engage with me because it was one-sided information, yeah? Web 2.0 changed all of that, okay? And what happened is it went from passive consumption where I'm only reading something and I wasn't able to engage with the creator of the content or the content itself to more active participation where I can create and share and you can respond and engage and reshare and share and share and share and share and share. right? So that is really what Web 2.0 is. So let's look at what are some Web 2.0 tools. Social networks, search engine, podcasts, blogs, and wikis. These are all Web 2.0 tools because what do? They allow us to communicate, they allow us to engage, they allow us to form communities, they allow us to have this interchanging of information, or exchanging, I should say, of information between an end user and a creator and vice versa. So that's what Web 2.0 is. Now, that Web 2.0 gave rise to what we're calling the creator economy. Now, most of you on here are small business owners, right? You have, or artists, or you're in the creative space in some way, and you have a product or service that you're selling. Some of you, the product or the service that you're selling is yourself, right? And so that is what we call the creator economy. And it's a business model that allows you, the creator of whether it's a product or service, or whether that product or service is you, your brand you, right? It allows you to earn money through on digital platforms through your brand or your business, right? In other words, you are value profiting. So you're creating content that adds value to your community, to your audience, whoever, and in exchange, they're paying you for that. Now, this is most related to, again, influencers, content creators, etc. But in a way, it actually does apply to brands and businesses. Because if you're a brand and business and you're using social media in the way it is intended to be used, you can do that. There are multiple ways you can do that. You are also value profiting, because what you're doing is you're giving people more information, you're giving them more ways of engaging with you as a business and a brand. And in exchange, because they have that information, because they know more about you, because they like you, they will buy from you. And that's what we call value profiting. And there's one thing you guys should know. People buy from business not because it's a business necessarily only, but because they like you. They like something about your brand, or they like something about your business. There's some kind of connection that they feel between you and the business, which makes them want to buy because they have options. And that is what Web 2.0 did. Web 2.0 gave people options, and we're going to talk about that. Now, let's look at what the data is saying, right? So let's talk about global internet use. Globally, 4.66 billion people use the internet on a daily basis. Now, remember, we have 7 point little bit billion people on the planet. So more than half of the humans on this planet use the internet. Now in Jamaica, we have more than half of the population of Jamaica using the internet. I think the last census was 3 point little bit as well. So we have a little bit over half of Jamaicans using the internet. Let's look at some more data. Global SM. So guys, if anywhere in my slides or if anywhere in my explanations, you hear me say SM, what I actually mean is social media, okay? So let's look at global social media use. Global social media use is at 4.20 billion. So 4.66 billion people use the internet and 4.2 billion people use social media. So the majority of the persons who use the internet, who accesses the internet, also use social media. Now I'm going to explain what all of this means, right? And it's the same for Jamaica as well. And I made sure I gave you the data for Jamaica because, guys, my thing is we are operating from a point of information, and data is gold, okay? And I'll explain why, so don't worry. Global mobile use. This is very, 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 very important, guys. So hear me out. 92.6% of the entire planet use mobile. 92.6%, right? And I mean 92.6% of the 4.66 billion who use the internet access the internet through their mobile devices. And it's the same for Jamaica. And this is not just now about those who use the internet. Jamaicans, period, access online the majority of us, 98.9% of us, access information on the net with our mobile phones. Now, what does all of this mean, guys? What all of this really and truly means is, one, if you are on social media platforms, you have access to more than half of the population of the earth. That's extremely powerful. That is something you would not be able to do with a television ad, okay? Because television ads are necessarily localized, right? Sometimes a television ad may not even reach somebody in St. Mary or Clarendon or Manchester, right? So that's something to consider. The other thing to consider is how many people actually use social media. The majority of us use social media. Again, you have access to now 4.2 billion people who actually use social media platforms. And as it relates to mobile, what that tells me is that the content you are creating for social media needs to be mobile optimized, because the majority of persons who will access your content will be accessing your content through their mobile phones. And remember to show you guys how to use the desktop view, blah, 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 on your mobile phones. That is why it is important that websites are optimized and your content on social media is optimized so it is easy to view. But we're going to get into that later. But let's talk about the top 5 reasons why we use the internet, because again, we're still looking at the data, and this is what the data is telling me as a professional who is in the digital space, creating content, growing my business in the digital space. I want to know why are people using the internet? Because I want to make sure that I am covered. So for whatever the reason is you're using the internet, me want to make sure send me in the mix there, right? So let's look at the top. These are the top 5 reasons. I know, guys, all the information I'm giving here is based on a yearly report put out by Hootsuite and We Are Social. It is in your resources folder. And I have made sure that I did not. In there, you will find the information for Jamaica as well. You just need to click on the link that says Jamaica. I'll show you guys in the tutorial. So the first reason to find information, guys, is your business really a business if you're not on the internet? Think about it. Does your business exist if you are not on the internet? Because what this data is telling us, what the report is telling us, is that the majority of people, when they want to find information, the first thing they do, Google it. Google it is now a verb. It is in the dictionary. Google it. Or Google. Google, sorry, is a verb. It's in the dictionary. Okay? Why? Because the majority of people, the first thing they do when they want to find information about anything, guys, I know how to cook something. Okay? I know how to cook something. But even when I know how to cook some things, the first thing I do when I go and cook is I go on YouTube and look for somebody I cook it. Just to make sure, somebody I cook it right. I don't need to do it, but I do it anyway, right? So the first thing we do is we go on the internet to find information. We'll find people go on the internet to find information about baby names. Yes, that is one of the top searches on Google is baby names, right? And so you can understand now that the mindset has changed. Consumer behavior has changed, and we're going to talk about that shortly. The second biggest reason is to communicate with family and friends. That's the second biggest reason why people use the internet. So to stay in touch, you are familiar, England, or America, or Canada, yes? And you know, Christmas time will come, so you want to know how the barrel will go, yeah? You know, January is back to school, so you want a little bag and shoes for Pinky, yes. So you use the internet, whether that's WhatsApp or DMs or Facebook Messenger, and I have a very interesting little data to give you about Facebook Messenger. Well, regardless of which digital platform you use, you're communicating, you're staying in touch with family and friends. The internet is the great come together, right? Everybody, there are no geographical boundaries on the internet. So anybody can communicate with anybody on the internet, right? The third biggest reason, news and events, which has been problematic because if one more person send me something to say that the vaccine is the devil in my WhatsApp message, because one very nondescript doctor man will claim him as a doctor, Chimaba, a white lab coat, telling us so, men of the fight. Yes? So what we realize is that more and more persons are now turning to the internet for their news and for current affairs and to see what is going on in the world. And this is being powered by something we call FOMO, fear of missing out. And because persons are constantly getting information on top of information on top of information, you have something that we call information overload. And that can lead to misinformation, fake news, alternative news, right? So that's a cautionary tale right there, but it is what it is. More and more persons are using the internet for news, and news people know this, you know. Jamaica Observer, they're on Instagram. Jamaica Gleaner, they're on Instagram. In fact, they're on all the platforms. CNN, ABC, CNBS, all the BBC, they're everywhere. BBC, not like smart. They have podcasts, they have radio, then they're all over the internet. Everywhere you look, you see BBC pop up because they know that persons are now looking for the news on the internet, right? And what did they do? They go where the people go. Pro lesson, go where your audience goes, okay? The fourth biggest reason is self-learning. And what do we mean by self-learning? Me want to go on YouTube, go find out how to make curry chicken, even though I must say I'm a pro at curry chicken because it's my favorite meal, right? But me still I will go on YouTube, go look at my favorite chef, which is Chef Adrian Morris. It's called Morris Time Cooking. Big up Adrian, right? And I'm going to go see how Adrian extra would feed with curry chicken. But I'm still looking at the basics, right? So if I want to learn how to, and I'll tell you something else. All of this that I'm giving you here, I learned from the internet and from research papers and from all of that. Because my background is in law. I spent $2.2 million studying law. I have a very fancy honors law degree. And what am I doing? I'm sitting here talking to you guys about the internet. Why? Because it's something I found a passion for in my second year of law school. And I decided that this is what I'm going to do because it's way more exciting than law. Way more exciting, right? And so I taught myself this. And I keep my information fresh. And this is, it's not just teaching yourself the thing. It's teaching myself how to ascertain sources, how to make sure that I'm using solid sources, as in my sources are credible, how to find research papers, because instead of looking at blogs, which I do look at, I also look at research. I look at a lot of research papers. I make sure I'm subscribed to a lot of different platforms that will give me credible information about what is happening. And generally, I observe. I'm very observant. I'm looking at what is happening in the space, and blah, blah, blah. And one thing I can tell you I've noticed is how Jamaicans use social media is not how other people use social media. And that's true for everybody. Depending on your locality, depending on your culture, depending on your region, it differs. So people in California use social media different from people in New York, okay? It's just different. And it's a lot of it is experiential, meaning you use it based on your experience and what is happening around you. And a lot of it is actually exposure. How were you exposed to this application, this platform, right? And so I have observed that, and when I'm doing these sessions, I make sure that I talk to you in a way where you can understand what I'm saying because we share similar experience, right? And that's why you find that a lot of the case studies I use are local or popular enough where you will know what I'm talking about. So number 5, entertainment. Now you would have thought entertainment would be number 1, but no, it's actually the 5th biggest reason why people use the internet. YouTube, Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Plus. There are so many digital platforms now that you can get your thing on. And I'm going to be talking about Squid Games a little bit because Squid Games broke the internet. and made Netflix a ton of money. One of their biggest hits this year, and they've had biggest hits. When you have streaming platforms now winning Golden Globe and Oscars, you know there has been a monumental shift in how we communicate and how we access content and watch content. We did that. We, the viewers, did that, okay? And we're going to talk about consumer power in a minute. So guys, these are the top 5 biggest reasons we use the internet. Now, if I've said anything that you guys want me to repeat, make a note of it, and I will take your questions after, okay? Because we have a lot to get through, so I want to go a little bit quicker. Now, let's look at the top 5 most used social media platforms. So we just look at the biggest reasons generally why most of us, the 4.66 billion of us that access the internet, why? But let's look at what we're accessing in terms of social media platforms. Because guys, and let me say this from the top, social media is only one digital platform of many digital platforms. Only one. Social media is not digital. Social media is not the internet. It is only one platform on the internet. And so as much as you're here to learn about social media marketing, social media cannot stand on its own. Social media, as far as I am concerned, is a trafficking platform. You use it to traffic persons from your social media to your primary platform, which should not be social media. Your primary platform should either be an app, an email subscription list, or your website. It should not be social media. Why? Because your app, your email subscription list, and your website, you own. You outright own. Well, if you don't pay your domain fee or your hosting fee for your website, they will snatch it. I learned that lesson the hard way a couple of days ago when there was an issue with my credit card, and they went, okay, goodbye, right? But you own the platform. You can go there. You can share the type of content you want to share. You can change and update and lots of things you want to do with it. You're catching on social media platform. You're borrowing space. You're not even renting. You're borrowing space. It's capture land. You don't own it, right? And so at any given time, Instagram can come and say, oh, you have 50,000 followers. Goodbye. And none of your followers can access because you would have broken some very obscure community rules that them can't even tell you where you're from. But they can do that because it's their platform, you don't own it. And we're going to talk about that later too. So let's look at the top 5 most used social media platforms. Don't listen to anybody that tells you Facebook is dead. Facebook is not dead. And I'm only using Facebook here because that's what you know it as. It's now called Meta. Facebook is now Meta. They've changed their name to Meta. Why? Because Web 3.0 is here. Web 3.0 and the metaverse is here, but this is for a different class, okay? So Facebook, trash what you heard, Facebook is still the #1 social media platform, okay, this side of the Western Hemisphere. In the Western Hemisphere, because in Asia, it's WeChat. But for our purposes, it's Facebook, okay? With 2.odd billion people, more than half of the people that use the internet and social media use Facebook on a daily basis. So despite what you heard, Facebook is still very much alive and kicking butt, okay? The second most used social media platform is YouTube. Now, I kind of have an issue with calling YouTube social media because technically YouTube is a search engine. YouTube is the video-based search for Google. So it is a part of the Google search engine ecosystem. However, it does have social media features, okay? Some persons will include it on a social media list with the caveat that it is really its main function is as a search engine. Okay? But YouTube is on Facebook heels like this, because YouTube also have 2 point something billion active monthly users. Okay, so they're very much on Facebook heels, and I'll give you a pro tip. If you try to share a YouTube video on Facebook, have you ever noticed that when you do that, your engagement drops off? Facebook don't like when you do that. And sometimes they will bury your content if it's a YouTube link, because they are intense competitors. In fact, first of all, Facebook is a competitor for everybody, because Facebook is a bully. Let's just get that out there. But Facebook and YouTube, they're in a war for your soul. I'm just kidding. But they're enemies, okay? WhatsApp is the 3rd most used social media platform globally, and FB Messenger coming forth, and Instagram rounds out the top 5. Can you believe that Facebook Messenger is used by more people than Instagram? Yes, Facebook Messenger is one of the most used social media platform, even though Facebook Messenger is the instant messaging component or the DMs of Facebook. But it's a very powerful application, and a lot of people sleeping on Facebook Messenger, but it's an extremely powerful application, because now you can have chatbots in Facebook. Big excitement going on over there, okay? All right, so let's look at the top 5 most used social media platforms in Jamaica. Make notes. Of course, the top 5 most used platform in any Western country is Facebook. Hands down, you didn't even have to ask. Instagram comes in 2nd. I want you guys to look at the top 5, and I want you to tell me if you're thinking what I'm thinking when I found this data. Facebook Messenger is one of the most used platforms in Jamaica as well. So if you're trying to reach people on Facebook, are you using Facebook Messenger? LinkedIn and Twitter. Isn't this interesting? Now, LinkedIn and Twitter is not the top 5 of the most used social media platforms in the world. They are a part of the top social media platforms, but they're not in the top 5. But interestingly, in Jamaica, Twitter and LinkedIn are very much contenders for our attention in the social media space. Very much so, right? But what is missing? Who is missing from this list that you are surprised is missing from this list? YouTube. How is it that in Jamaica, YouTube is not the top 5? If you are trying to grow your YouTube platform as a Jamaican, this should tell you why it is so hard for a Jamaican to grow a YouTube platform. Jamaicans don't really use YouTube like that, you know. To be quite honest with you, we don't really mess with YouTube like that. We will go on to look for things and learn, but it is not really our entertainment platform like that. We don't really use YouTube like that. We're not as big into YouTube as other persons are. And guys, this is why it is important to know the data, because that's what this data is telling me. This data is saying to me, Jamaicans are not really that pressed about YouTube. Have you ever tried to get somebody to go watch a YouTube video? Oh my God, it's like pulling teeth. You can get around that with conditioning, and we're going to talk about that later. But this is interesting, isn't it? I think it's very, very interesting. It's telling me quite a lot. It's telling me quite a lot. What are you guys saying? Twitter is surprising for you, Rashida. It shouldn't be, because guys, Jamaican Twitter is fire. Jamaican Twitter is fire. Jamaican Twitter goes viral all the time. Jamaican Twitter is constantly viral. Okay, constantly viral. So if you guys have not been tuned in, I just put you on some game just now. Jamaican Twitter is fire. But Jamaican Twitter is also a very, very good place to go and network, because persons are a little bit more relaxed on there, and they're a little bit more willing to share on Twitter. It's the same for LinkedIn. But I find that you get just a little bit more from people on Twitter than LinkedIn. LinkedIn tends to be a little bit stuff, yeah. But Twitter, you see some persons on Twitter commenting and retweeting. Somebody go, I saw you this day. On Twitter. Make notes of these platforms, guys, because when it comes time for you guys to choose which platform your brand should go on, you need to know this information so you can make an informed decision. Because some of you are putting your brands and businesses on platforms that Jamaicans don't use. And if Jamaicans or don't use that much, and if Jamaicans are your primary audience, when you see why we're not growing. All right, this was a shocker for a lot of people. All right, let's look at who uses social media more, men or women. Who do you guys think use social media more, men or women? Who do you guys think use social media more, men or women? Men, women. The chat is going crazy. I love this. I love your participation, guys. Okay, reveal. Drum roll. The answer is, it depends. The answer is, it depends. It depends on the platform. Because some platforms you have more men than you have women, but not by a lot. As you can see, the margins are, okay, in data world, some of the margins are really huge. Like, look at Twitter. Look at Twitter. You have more women use Twitter than men. In fact, for most of these platforms, sorry, more men than women. In fact, for most of these platforms, there are more men than women. And guys, that's what the data is telling us. The data is telling us that when it comes to social media and the internet, more men use it than women. Now, there's a theory behind why this is a thing, and the theory behind it is women are a little bit more cautious. Men will go put them credit card information anywhere. But women are a little bit more skeptical, like, I don't like how this looks. This not no portion, I don't like it. So you have more men using the internet generally than women. But when it comes to social media platform, it also reflects there as well. All right, guys, this is important information when you are doing when you're identifying and defining your target audience. All right, so I make sure I put all this data in there so you know what is the deal, okay? So let's talk about how. Now that you have all that data, you see all that is actually going on, you see the numbers. Let's talk about how the internet and social media, to be honest with you, is shifting expectations, right? And how traditional media is losing its grip on our time and attention and our eyeballs. Let's look at it. So, how has the internet changed consumer behavior? More information. Remember one time when you used to have to go to American library because you have assignment to do, and your school library never make it, so you have to go down to American. Although for most of us, we never really go down to American for study. We go to American for meet up and link up with friends, and maybe some study happen. But information is power. Information empowers. And so the more information I have as a consumer, the more informed my decision will be. But then persons before, marketers used to look at consumers as just numbers on a paper. And you have to increase those numbers. But now you have to look at each consumer as an individual with morals, an individual with ideas and thoughts and concerns, and an individual who is organic and eco-friendly, tree huggers, okay, who don't like the fact that you test your products on rats, and so they won't buy from you. And they will know if you test your products on rats because the information is on the internet. So now you have to be mindful of each individual in your target group. You have to understand the psyche of the individual in your of the individuals in your target, because if you miss, cancelled, hashtag cancelled. And if we think hashtag cancelled is a joke, ask Robert Kelly. Okay, there you go. All right. More competition. The internet has lowered the barrier to entry. Now, you as a small manufacturer can be competing with Grace Foods, a multinational global conglomerate. And you can be yamming into the market shares. Why? The internet. The internet has created more competition for big businesses. Why do you think Gucci on Instagram? Gucci don't need to be on Instagram, is what you thought. But with Fashion Nova and Shein and Boohoo are dig down the place, you may think they are not competing with a Gucci and a Balmain, but you'll be wrong. Fast fashion is a direct competitor to luxury fashion brands. Because why would I spend my money on Gucci frack if me can get one knockoff Gucci frack from Fashion Nova or next fast fashion brand? Well, look, the exact same man. Nobody can tell me says that Gucci we're going to come drape me up and look up on the shirt. I just tell you can't do that. So all you have to tell me says that Gucci. Competition. Okay. More options. Now that I have more information and there's more competition, act right. Because if you don't act right, guess what? To the competitor, to the left. Okay? So act like you know no sense. And Mr. John, I'm going to get my money. More power. The internet has emboldened, empowered, dramatically empowered consumers. Now they don't have to take your, we open at 10 o'clock, I know it's 12, I'm just a come, I just have to go wait. No, them don't have to take, your call is in the queue. You are number 5 in the queue, and it's been saying that for 2 hours, but you're sitting on the phone listening to, listen, we're here again, whatever the flow jingle is. We've been traumatized. We don't have to anymore. We don't have to anymore because competition did it, right? Increased confidence, right? I can properly tell you, seminar, do no more business with you, sir, ma'am, because you know, not name customer service and go about my business because I can get this service elsewhere. I can get this item elsewhere. If I can't get to Jamaica, I can ship it in via Amazon. Because Amazon have it. And when I pay things for Amazon and when I pay for shipping, it's still cheaper than what you are selling for. So guess what? Buy. More options, more power, increased confidence, right? Lower tolerance. Ain't nobody got time for that. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Nobody don't have time for that. So you put your dress on Instagram and I tell me for DM you for price. No, I'm not. I don't have time for that. You could have put in a caption. Why I forgot DM you for price and then you answer me for 3 days and me have an event 2 days. No, ma'am, anybody got time for that? You're giving too much work to do. And if you give your audience too much work to do, guess what? They ain't doing it. They will not do it. Okay? So I have to be careful what we're doing out here in these streets, right? Could never be me. Will not be me. Not today. Okay. And I think there's one more. Convenience and instantaneity. No, don't come for instantaneity. I'm not sure if I think it's a word. If it's not, I make it up and y'all gonna have to deal with it. Okay, so convenience. When you see what happened in the pandemic, is it me or when I hear more motorbike these days? First say, up and down the streets then. You know why? Because you have more delivery men these days. You know why? Because the pandemic made Jamaican business realize that, oh, you know, when people come to Uno, not in 2020 or 2021. You have to come to me. You remember how long we've been asking KFC to deliver food? You remember how long? You know how much years? And KFC got, no. They move fast during pandemic, no that. No KFC deliver high and wide. Right? Convenience. The businesses that offered entertainment, convenience, and comfort survived the pandemic. Survived the pandemic. They thrived during the pandemic. Okay? Instantaneity means me not DM you for no price. If in the caption, so when I click it, I can see it right away. I don't have time to message you. Or if I have a concern or an issue, I'm a message you Domino's Pizza, you respond right away, or you respond within a reasonable time. Because then, why are you on Instagram? Why are you up on Twitter? Why are you not responding? Then you don't need to put up on the platform if you're not going to use the features of the platform. Because the only reason why you are on social media is because you have all these tools that can enhance your customer service, and then you don't use them. That means you're not a business about me. But guess what? Pizza Hut answer. You see what I'm saying? Convenience and instantaneity. These are expectations that people don't have. All right. Let's look at increasing consumer power. We're going to talk about Squid Games. All right. This is what customers are now expecting from you. On-demand access. We need to get through to you right now, not tomorrow, not 5 hours from now, but right now, on demand. Why do you think a lot of these streaming platforms talk about on demand? Because if me want to watch Squid Games right now, I can't move be able to go and go watch it right now. They have no tolerance on the internet these days. None, because if Netflix act like them now says Disney Plus dead, and if Disney Plus act like them now says Hulu dead, Amazon dead. In fact, there are people who have subscriptions to all of the platforms because they want to watch their favorite movies at that time. And you can't tell me, say you only have 3 seasons of my favorite show because, so you know what my money? Platforms have stopped producing shows claiming that this is season finale after only 2 seasons. People go, I lie, you are tell. And they have to create another season on demand, okay? Convenience, we talked about convenience just now. Loyalty. Loyalty. If you as a brand or a business, you're not loyal to your customers, they won't be loyal to you. They're not going to be loyal, and they're expecting loyalty from you. Because me spend my money from you, me spend my money with you, means you have to give me something other than that product or service in return. That's the value you're giving me in return. And if you're not loyal to me, your competitor will be, boo. Okay. Responsiveness. And responsiveness is in twofold, and you'll see that later on. But you have to respond to people. If people are trying to talk to you, you have to respond. And it's not a situation. Remember when you used to call somebody and you talk to our secretary, the secretary said, hold, and then transfer it to 5 million people who are keep the manager desk before you could get to the manager? Somebody better answer me when know what they matter about, because you know, put somebody else on the internet. We ain't doing that. So you have to not just be responsive in terms of being quick to respond, but being responsive in terms of giving me the information I'm asking you for right away without me having to explain 5 million things to you over and over again because you're putting me through to 5 million different people. Say it with me. Ain't nobody got time for that. Okay? Personalized. You can't just be going, you all. It's Kadia. Right? And if you're messaging, don't have me in it and me can't see myself reflected in your messaging. Then I don't mean I got you. I don't know what I mean. So I'm not gonna listen. I'm in a business. That is how you bring people in. That's how you make them care about you and your business, because you're personalizing it. And this is one reason why niching is important, because the more people you try to talk to, is the more general and wash out your message gets. And if your message is too general, if your message is too faceless, impersonal, who are you talking to, and why should they care, or why should they listen? It's not me you're talking to, because this doesn't apply to me. And that's why you find banks are now talking about going digital. And they're offering more services, because at one point, banks were offering services. So you're going, who is this for? Because said the 5 million things, don't ask me if I can't access it. But now they have to be more responsive to the individuals in their target group. No, banks can get away with it because we have a system which forces us to use the banks, okay? And so they are national institutions, which is why government agencies can behave the way they behave, because they're national institutions. You need them. I was going to say they don't need you, but they do, but that's how they behave, right? But as a business or a brand, you have to ensure that persons feel like you are speaking directly to them, even when you're speaking to a bigger group. And it's an art. You have to craft a message. In fact, you may have to craft multiple messages to ensure that you're reaching everybody in your primary and secondary groups, okay? Consistency is what? Key. Consistency is key, guys. You cannot be trying to reach people and, you know, post for 5 days, 10 days, 20 days, 30 days. And then the next thing you post is sell out. Really? Really, actually? Look, I'm going to ask you one question. I know you answer me and then post sell out. Don't message me. Stop it. Consistency is key. Consistency is conditioning for your audience. It sets expectation. It lets them know what they're in for, and it gives them more information so they can buy in. And ultimately, what that results in for you is more traffic, because there's more reach, so there's more traffic. And guess what? Lead generation and what? Sales. And let's be honest, we are only here because we want more money. We want more people buy with things. Sales, okay? So this is what this leads to. And again, the first contact resolution, if I message Flo on Twitter and said, this is my issue, the person who responds to me needs to address that issue, my specific issue, and don't tell me about other people who have similar issue. No, me never said that. They said this. Tell me about this, right? These are some of the expectations that people have. In fact, these are the expectations that you have, and you know you do this on the internet. So think about how you communicate or engage with a brand on the internet, and tell me if I'm lying. I'm not lying. We have been spoiled by the internet, because we are what? Spoiled for choice. We've got options. Options equal power. Consumer have all the power these days. So let's talk about Squid Games. Squid Games broke the bank, and it's all because of social media. Social media propelled Squid Games to astronomical status. Because what is the difference between Squid Games and other K-pop dramas? And K-pop dramas are kind of Asian-based soap opera kind of dramas, right? What's the difference? Squid Game is in that category of K-pop drama. But for whatever reason, Squid Games was a hit with the audience. The audience then went on social media, and everywhere you go, it was hashtag Squid Game, hashtag whatever challenge. And you had challenges and other challenges, and you had people who were dressed up as Squid Games for Halloween. It was crazy stuff. This is what this article says. It says, Squid Games is forcing us to rethink what it means to go viral, right? It says, plenty of Netflix shows have become viral sensation in record time. So you had Stranger Things. Remember Bridgerton? I hate that series. But do you remember Bridgerton? Oh God. Stranger Things and The Witcher, which I don't understand what the deal is with The Witcher. Remember Game of Thrones? Although Game of Thrones was not necessarily Netflix, but remember Game of Thrones. Think about all these series that went viral because of the internet, because of social media. Squid Games have knocked all of them off the charts. Even Game of Thrones, off the charts, right? It's a different beast, as this says. It says Squid Game is a foreign language show. It beat out the French show Lupin, which was one of the top Netflix shows at the time, and it is now, as of this date, the most watched Netflix series to date, hands down. And Netflix have had some whoppers, right? The success has been organic. How many times Netflix didn't have to put no money into promotions, but what Netflix did was they watched the data and they looked at what people was talking about, where they were talking, yeah, and how many hours of watch time was how many hours were being consumed in terms of watch time on Squid Games. And you see them three things there. Netflix used it and they did what we call placements. Netflix knew where to place what on them social media platform, which clip to put where, which hashtag to use where. And let me tell you, whosoever was responsible for the marketing deserve a raise, because when I said they kept the engagement going and going up, they even had Squid Game watch parties on Twitter and TikTok. It was crazy, okay? So it was by word of mouth. No, guys, don't let anybody fool you. You see all these fancy extras from mega teacher in social media marketing, it is still word of mouth. And word of mouth has now made the jump to social media because it is still recommendation based for the most part. So I go on social media and I say, hey guys, I'm looking for a graphic designer. You guys know anybody? Word of mouth. It's still word of mouth. So marketing really has not changed. It has become a hyper beast because of social media, but the basic foundations of marketing have not changed. All right, so back to Squid Games. Wait, okay. So behind the scenes, Netflix closely watch. You see, it says Netflix closely watch the top 10 list and its curatorial ability to direct unprecedented numbers of eyeballs towards new content in real time. You remember we were talking about instantaneity? That's what in real time means. Right now, immediately. So while you are watching Squid Games, people are tweeting, live tweeting something that they saw that was cool, and Netflix picked it up and spread it around on their platforms and drove more people to watch Squid. Guys, it was amazing to watch. It was amazing to watch, okay? You can tell I'm excited because these things are I just love these things, right? And they were able to send people in real time. So say I'm watching Squid Games and I'm live tweeting some cool stuff. Netflix have people who pick it up, reshare it. I'm seeing Netflix because I'm following Netflix, or something pops up with Netflix, or I'm seeing other people in my feed talking about Netflix, and I'm going, what is this they're talking about? No, me have to go up on Netflix, go watch this because, oh, but me missed that part there, and me have to go rewind because me want to see what you talk about, and never that me get out of that, you get out of that. And the chatter just went through the roof, okay? When all is said and done, Netflix's greatest impact on pop culture. And guys, this is so interesting because the internet has completely changed pop culture. There's no such thing as American culture, Jamaican culture. It's internet culture. Because all of these things are now blended. And everybody use everybody's slang, everybody use everybody's terms, it's all blended, and it's now internet pop culture. And Netflix have us by the neck. And other platforms, Amazon have us by the neck, okay? TikTok, we'll go there, okay? So pop culture will not be allowing us to binge watch or stream TV on demand, okay? It will be globalizing the entertainment business, creating a platform for people from more than 190 countries. Guys, there's 200 and little bit of countries. And Netflix in most of them. That's reach. That's ridiculous reach, right? And you can watch stories from all over the world. Guys, Netflix always looking for content. Wink, wink to my filmmakers, wink, wink to my producers. Netflix always looking for content. They're Jamaican content on Netflix. Why? Because they have a global reach, and the more stories they can develop and share is the more people they can bring in. Netflix smart, Netflix playing the long game. They're smart, okay? So now, guys,
Hi.
I
wanted to clear.
want us to look at.
Let's talk about why the Chanel calendar
Hold
is so
on. I
significant.
want us to look at this drama here. So now, so guys, it's Christmas, and I'm showing you this because I want to show you how aggressive the internet can be, how aggressive social media can be, and how brands have to always make sure that they're on top of things. Because if you're not, it can go south for you real fast. Now, guys, at this point, I want you to put in headphones. If you have headphones, let me increase the volume on my computer. If you have headphones, guys, please put your headphones in, because I want you to hear this. Put your headphones in. And this is some of you guys say you saw the drama. Guys, I live for internet drama, okay?
Hi. So
I
wanted
live
to
for
clear the Chanel
internet
calendar is so
drama.
significant.
So I am always au fait with the drama. Okay, guys. So I hope you can hear. Now, it's Christmas time, and every Christmas time we have what we call advent calendars, Christmas advent calendars. Chanel, yes, the Chanel, the global luxury brand Chanel, released their advent calendars. Okay. Now, in Chanel's defense, they did share what would have been in the calendar. So guys, when we say it's a calendar, what happens is you kind of get like a box, and each box have the different days in it, like the different days in December, in it. And each day you're supposed to open different boxes. That's what they call a calendar, right? Each day you're supposed to open different boxes for a surprise, you know, kind of thing. Well, the ladies on TikTok were not happy with the surprises in the Chanel advent calendar. So let's look at this one. I just want you guys to look at, and I'm going to share these videos in the research folder so if you guys can see it. You know what, let me make it bigger because these ladies were not, hold on, let me make the videos bigger. Let me get rid of these phones because I was trying to be fancy. But let me get rid of these phones so I can make these guys, these bigger guys, because the comments are hilarious. Hilarious. And Chanel had to respond, and they did. They officially respond. They're officially responding. Now, think about this. In 2021, you can get Coco Chanel to respond to your TikTok. That's the times we're living in, guys. That's the times we're living in. I'm gonna move this over so you guys can see this. All right. When I tell you I live for the drama. Okay, let's do it again. So guys, you're seeing the comments now. This lady made a video. She got her box. The box is $825 US for the calendar. She got the calendar. She got the box. She went in store and bought the box. So what? And you're going to hear her explain why she did not know what would have been in the box. But my girl has 2 million followers on TikTok, which means she has a large audience. So her audience was excited for her to get a box because they want to see it because they wasn't going to buy it. But you go buy it, girl, I'll watch the content, you know? And so they were excited. And then she dropped. She dropped the video and it was a mess. Because in the video, what was happening was that she got stickers, she got pins, she got one plastic, it snowballed. Their foolishness in the gifts. Not foolishness, cheap. The word was cheap. And if you look through the comments, it's the same thing people are saying. It looks cheap. For a brand like Chanel, you would have expected better gifts because they have such a wide range of things. You'd have expected better gifts. It was rubbish. So if you, I'm going to play the comments for you here. You can see it. Persons were just, it was hilarious. The fact that it was 800, girl, they really scammed you. I'm going to drop the videos, guys. Don't worry if it's going too fast. And persons were like, come on, Chanel, this is giving me $50, not $800. This is giving me scam. This is giving me department store. And it was hilarious. But what I want you guys to pay attention to is this video here, because this lady explained the entire thing. Let me let you listen.
Let's talk about why the Chanel calendar is so significant for social media culture. To celebrate Chanel No. 5's 100-year anniversary, Chanel released an advent calendar. Titles like Harper's Bazaar Arabia named it top of the list of its best luxury beauty calendars of the year, and it retails for $825 USD. 4 days ago, TikToker Elise Harmon purchases the calendar and does an unboxing. She reveals the contents of the calendar, from tattoos to stickers to sample-sized products. After initially being hugely complimentary of the packaging, it was clear that Elise Harmon was disappointed. In the 4 days since her first video, her content has racked up 68.4 million views around the advent calendar, and a string of international publications have reported on the backlash and roasting that's taking place on TikTok. Chanel is currently private on TikTok. We don't know if that's a coincidence. After Diet Prada covered this to more than 250,000 likes, I don't think I need to tell you what was going on. Chanel? No, I'm kidding, but the comments were crazy. Now, Chanel was always clear on what was in the calendar, and it was always clear on the cost of the calendar. But what was really significant here is how much the distribution of power away from brands and towards digital communities has really...
She just said, what is clear here is how the distribution of power has shifted from brands to digital communities. That's important, guys, important.
Shifted in the last couple of years. What this shows us is that power has been decentralized away from brands and towards the individu, especially if they have the power to clear up some questions.
What this shows is that power has shifted from brands and decentralized to individuals, and they can make or break your brand. That was my ad-lib.
Luxury brands can either use this or ignore it. Huge learnings for Chanel and all luxury brands if you're watching this.
So she said something very powerful. The power is in your hands as the consumer. And this one girl on TikTok literally is brought Chanel into news, but not just American news, Paris, Italy. They were in the news everywhere, and they had to respond. They had to respond to her. They had to. They couldn't ignore it. 68 million people saw this video. They had to. And then it was on CNN. It was on BBC. It was everywhere. It went viral. Her response to them went viral, and they had no choice but to respond. Now let's look at what she said.
Questions that I've been seeing in the comments. I did not buy this from the online Chanel store. Online, I understand that you can see everything that's in it, but in store, there is no description of everything that's inside. So that's the first thing. And second of all, when you get an advent calendar, when I get an advent calendar, it's about the surprise. It's about the fun and the games. And when you're buying from a brand like Chanel that is coveted and known for quality and luxury, and you receive something that's like gumball status and free things that they had given away months prior, it's questionable. It's really, it's questionable. And yeah, if you have any more questions, let me know.
That was her response to her video going viral, and Chanel's response, because Chanel responded to say, one, we told you what you are getting. Two, we are sorry you didn't like it. And three, we didn't block you, because she put out a video to say that she was blocked by Chanel on TikTok. And I believe her. I really do, because brands do that. But Chanel said they didn't block anyone because you couldn't follow us in the first place because we didn't post content to it. But she must have been following them for her to be blocked. And she showed us that she was blocked. So I don't know what that response was from Chanel. But persons, when they responded, persons started flooding their other social media platforms. And now Chanel has privated all of their social media platforms. Bad move, wrong move, but the backlash was absolutely epic. And I'm showing you this, guys, because I want you to understand, as the lady said, the power is no longer in the hands of the brands or the businesses. And if they don't play ball, they will lose business. And that's why you have luxury brands on social media, multi-conglomerate businesses, Pepsi, Nike, all on social media. All on social media. It's not because, oh, you know, they want to be cool. It's business, a whole heap of money on social media. And if you don't get it right, if you don't use these channels properly, if you're not responding to people, blah, 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 you will lose market share.
Let's talk about why the Chanel calendar.
So let me skip this. Guys, this was hilarious. So let's look at now what we call, guys, we're not gonna call anybody dumb. Oh, dumb them. Oh, you can't block them. But I could call Twitter. I'm looking at it. She said, it has become personal. It's not Chanel, though. She responded. I'm not understanding what that is about. Yes, guys, somebody says from a PR standpoint, it was horrible. Imagine trending on all social media platforms for the wrong thing. And let me tell you something about TikTok. TikTok is not in the top 5 biggest platform. But you know what TikTok have? Reach. And you know why TikTok have reach? They were smart. TikTok is a platform that is the easiest to share. You can share a video from TikTok to every social media platform with one button. That was smart. And because of that, TikTok videos go viral all the time. Think about Julie Mango. If you guys know the Jamaican comedian Julie Mango, her videos go viral all the time. It's because of the shareability. TikTok has built-in shareability. And so a video that was done on TikTok went viral on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And so Chanel, people then woke up to them trending on all these platforms for the wrong reason, and they were not happy about it. They were not happy about it. Persons are like, listen, my husband, when he go Macy's and get one advent calendar from his first, so could I get better things? It was terrible. All right, guys, moving on. So now that we've spoken about all that, and I've given you kind of the backstory as to what social media is, how consumers are using social media, or, well, the internet, what the internet is, how consumers are using the internet, and what the expectations are, what the data is telling us, that's a good point now to start talking about social media. Because even though social media is one digital platform, it's a huge digital platform. It's megalithic, okay? What is it though? What is social media? But before we start talking about social media, the first thing I want to talk about is marketing. Because these days, social media is less of a social interaction kind of platform and more of a marketing platform. But for you to understand why or how, let's talk about marketing. What is marketing? Marketing is a set of activities, and it's ever changing, ever evolving, because it's very fluid. It's very, it is informed by what is happening in terms of the responses that you're getting from your target audience when you're publishing things out there. So it's very fluid. But in general, it's a set of activities that you as a brand or a business will undertake to promote your product or service because you want sales. That's in the most basic terms, that's what marketing is. The promotional activities you do to generate sales for your product or service, in a nutshell, right? But what is the purpose of marketing? Well, ultimately, it is to sell more product or services, but it's how it is done that kind of defines the purpose of it, because selling is not something that is easy to do. And that's why a lot of people, including myself, don't like sales, right? Because there are certain tactics and strategies that you have to get right in order for you to make a sale. And people are so picky, especially now. They can be as picky as they want to be because they have options, right? So you're using what we call persuasive communication tactics to convince consumers to choose you over your competitor. That's not easy. Because now, as I said, remember I said earlier that you're now going to have to look at people as individuals. You can't just look at them as a monolith. African Americans like to say we're not a monolith, right? It means they are not one contiguous group. They are individual people with their own morals and their own ideas, and they know how they want to spend their money. And if you are not giving them a reason to spend their money with you, understand? Okay. So when you're using social media, you're constantly, every single day, convincing people to choose you. Now, you're not going to go on there and go, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. Your content does that for you. Your community does that for you. Your engagement does that for you. But that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. When I asked, I put out a survey, I think a year ago, I was asking persons what is content. And I was talking to my marketing community, which there's a very active marketing community, Jamaican community online, on Twitter, I mean. And I asked them what is content, and we're going to talk about that when we talk about content. I'm going to show you the video responses. And one guy said, and this stuck with me, he says content is kind of like he's saying content is sales posing as an editorial. Now, if you guys know what an editorial is more information kind of based, more storytelling, more conversational based, but it's really sales. It's really sales. You're just dressing it up as a different pig, but it's the same pig, right? But you have to know how to do it right. And that is why businesses can win big on social media if they do it right. And that's why influencers are rolling in dough right now. We're going to talk about it, don't worry. Okay, so now that you understand what marketing is just a set of activities that you do as a brand or business to promote your product or service to increase sales. And you're using persuasive communication tactics to convince constantly on an everyday basis consumers to buy from you or to choose you over your competitors. But what does this have to do with social media? So let's break down what social media is. So it's a modern communication platform that allows users to instantly share content, build networks, and form virtual communities. Sounds sexy though. Nice, simple, cute, but let's break it down. The first word, communication. It is necessarily a two-way street. Remember earlier when I was talking about the first iteration of the web, how it was a one-way street, and now Web 2.0 has opened that up where it's a cross-exchange, where I can communicate with you as a creator, and the creator can respond, and I can respond, and it's a back and forth. And from that, I can build communities and all parts of the excitement. It starts with communication, the ability to instantly, in real time, communicate with someone. The second thing, instantly. We have become so accustomed to instantaneous communication. Send a WhatsApp to somebody and make them to respond within 5 minutes. Oh, especially when them turn off the thing where you can't tell if them read it. Ooh, why that's annoying. That's annoying, isn't it? Because you don't have them read it, so you don't know if they got it. And then they don't respond, and you're like, ooh, damn you. right? But we expect instant communication. That's what WhatsApp is there for. That's why it's called instant messaging, people. It's called instant messaging. Father said it will reach you instantly. Next word to look at, content. Guys, everything I'm talking about is content. Everything on the internet is content. Every word, every video, every audio, every dot, every slash, it's content. It's all content. That's the big box. All of this is lumped in content. So if you hear me say content, I am talking about anything you read on the internet, anything you watch on the internet, anything you listen to on the internet, all of it, all is content. And content on social media is king. Absolutely. First of all, what you're posting if it's not content. Anything you post on social media is content. Anything at all. So if you're not on content, then I guess you ain't posting nothing on social media. It's all content, right? Next one. It's a network. It is a network, and you can build a network. That's why sometimes it's called a social media network or a social media channel or a social media platform. It's all the same. And you can build networks on these platforms. You can find interest groups and form virtual communities. There's a Harry Potter community online. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, and they're on Discord. And they have a podcast. You can find a community of just about anything. You have a food fetish, there's a community. OnlyFans is OnlyFans for a reason. You know, even prostitution has gone digital. You know what I mean? And now it's on demand, right? There's a community for everything online. Anything your mind can conceive, there's already a community for it. There's already a network. And if there's not, you can build one yourself. And even if there is one, you can still build one for yourself because there are multiple communities. Okay? That's the power of social media. It's the power to communicate instantly using content to build a network or an audience or to attract an audience and form communities. And a lot of people tend to overlook the community's part, but your community is vital to your survival on social media. And you're going to learn why. All right. Let's look at social media marketing. So we talk about marketing, which we say is a set of activities that brands and businesses do to promote their products and services to increase sales. And we say social media is a communication network, platform, whatever, right? It's a platform we use to communicate instantly using content to attract people to our network or to our platforms or to our profiles and form communities. Now let's look at social media marketing. And this is where the content is king thing comes in because this is where content stands out. Social media marketing is the use of content on social networks, channels, platforms. Remember, I use them interchangeably to promote your brand. So you're now taking a communication channel and you're bringing the marketing to that communication channel and you're marrying the two things. Now, how you marry the two things is going to determine how long that marriage is, right? Because if you are not compatible, divorce, okay? So you're using it to capture and filter leads into a more robust sales funnel. Now, this is the unsexy version. But let's be honest, first of all, it is too hard to create content on social media for it to just be for fun. It must be for sales because then doing it for fun at that level, no, everybody got time for that. It's too much work. So we all know that we're only going on there to increase sales. Let's be honest. That's what business and brands use social media for. You go where your audience goes so you can stay on, you can promote to them. They can keep you top of mind. So when they're ready to make a sale, it's you them come to. That's really the simple equation, right? And so you are using a platform where you will most likely find your audience. They're already there. They're already very engaged and communicating on that channel. And you're saying, well, hello, how are you? And you know, we like each other. At least we should get to know each other. Because I'm fun, you're fun. Let's get together. You can buy some stuff from me, right? We can vibe. That's what you're doing on social media, right? But you're using your content to do that. Which is why you have to get your content right. But you see, if content is king on social media, and guess what is queen? Who can guess what the queen is on social media? Who can guess what the queen is? If content is king, what is queen on social media? You guys are brilliant. Engagement. Engagement is queen. But you can't just drop the content and then left it. What am I do with this? You have to have your caption. You have to have your hashtags. You have to be responding to comments. You have to be responding to DMs. You have to find ways to get people to respond to you. Engagement is queen. These things go hand in hand. You cannot separate them. And that is why your community is important, because nobody can give you the level of engagement you need to get your platform growing like your community. Nobody. I didn't say your followers. Notice I said your community. Because we're going to talk about people obsessed with followers when your followers not doing nothing for you. All right. Let's continue. So now, earlier I said that social media should be a trafficking site, a funneling site, your funneling platform. So what I want you to think of it as it's like a system you're creating. At the center of your system is your main platform. It could be your website, it could be your email, it could be your app. And then you have what we call satellite platforms. Well, what I call satellite platforms because I'm extra. Satellite platforms. So social media is just one satellite platform. All of them. You can have 500 social media, it still represents just one satellite platform. Your other satellite platform could be a blog, which is on your website. So yes, I know, but if you have SEO, if your blog is SEO optimized, it's a satellite, right? It could be your content on YouTube. It could be Google Business, which is free, and most of you guys are not using. But if I go and search something on Google, Google is going to show me the business first. That thing where you see what say website, phone number, blah, blah, it's free. That's a satellite. It could be SEO, which is another satellite. Search engine, which SEO and search engine goes together, that's another satellite. So you can have several satellite platforms, right? That is feeding traffic to your website or whatever your other main platform is. Because if your main platform is email, then your website becomes a satellite. Right? If your app is your main platform, then you have website, email, and social media, which is a satellite. But your storefront, your physical store location is also a satellite. Traditional media platforms is also a satellite. So a radio ad or a TV ad, satellites that are driving traffic to your main platform, and social media is one. Social media should never, ever be your main platform, because remember what the other day when Instagram went offline, people were running around like chickens with them head cut off, panicking, because they had no other means of communicating with their audience. And that's unfortunate, because guess what? Your audience on social media come and go. It doesn't stay consistent. It's very fluid. You have people who stop using a platform or for whatever reason stop communicating, or because of how the algorithm on the platform is. If they're not engaging with you regularly, you're going to fall off the top of their feed. And a lot of people not going to scroll. They're going to only scroll so far and so much. And if you're below the so much, they ain't seeing you. All right? Okay. So now let's look at social media marketing pillars. These are the foundational things that you need to get right. You need to get these things right if you are going to use social media successfully. Okay? Content. I don't need to reiterate that. You need to identify and define your audience. Your community is vital to your survival because they insulate you, and we're going to talk about that. Engagement, promotions, funnels. The 6 foundational pillars of a good social media marketing plan. I should have put competitors in there, but your competitors should be a part of that funnel. And I will talk about it, so don't worry. Guys, everything I say here, this is just introductory. I'm going to deep dive these things later. These are your foundational pillars. Guys, if you don't make no other notes today, take a note of this. Content, audience, community engagement, promotions, and funnels. And I'm talking about your sales funnel. How are you getting people from social media to the place where they can buy the thing? What's that journey that you're putting them on? They call it the buyer's journey. What's that journey you're sending them on? When they come across you on social media, what are they going to do next? What are you instructing them to do? What is that step-by-step thing that you're setting them up to do? And how well are you conditioning them to take those steps? Your funnel, right? Let's move quickly. Why is social media important? I think you guys already know, right? And I would have gone over that, but let's look at some of the reasons. Visibility. Again, you can be on the internet and still not be visible because your SEO sucks. Your SEO sucks. Or you have a website, or I should say because you have a website that you build the website one time and you have never looked back on it since the day you put it up there. The information outdated, it wasn't SEO optimized in the first place, it's not mobile friendly or mobile optimized, the content old, the number them no work, the email no work, because people tend to think that website is a static platform. It is not static. You should be updating your websites regularly, okay? Relevance. Social media make you relevant, and that's where the competition comes in, right? So I can be a bag juice manufacturer and sell my bag juice to social media and yam into the shares of other juice companies in Jamaica, because I have built a community that I've become relevant to, and they want to see me win. And so instead of go buy a D&G, they come buy my juice, right? Relationships. Social media affords businesses to become humanized or to humanize and form relationships with the individuals whose money they're trying to get. It is no longer a situation where you go, all right, some of this, give me your money if you want it. It is no longer that situation. It has to be, what can I do for you? Oh, you don't like this color? That's fine. I have it in like 5 different colors. So, yeah, but you want to add a button to it? Sure, no problem. Because people don't have the time. And people want what they want, and they will spend their money for it, and they will spend their money with the person who's giving them exactly what they want. You cannot be mediocre in these streets, and you can't be bare minimum in these streets either. Because more options equal more what? Power. Community. Important. Enhanced services. If your customer service not right on the phone, you can seek redemption in social media. And if you don't know, so enough people will work on the workplace where they don't know how to answer phone and then get very quick. Only make them type. But then type in the DMs. Yes? What is that? Oh, someone will answer the phone like about people about me. Yeah. Automated messages in DMs. It will save you a lot of headache and a lot of lost customers. Yes. Lead generation and sales. Probably the most important part of social media is the lead generation and sales. But the lead generation, all those, the 5 things that came before that is what makes lead generation works. It's what causes you to generate leads. And eventually, if your funnel is right, sales. Oh, and customer retention, right? One thing, your audience may not be your customer. Your customer may be a part of your audience. But when we say audience, we are taking into account the primary persons, because you can split your audience into groups. You have your primary and secondary, and then you have your fringe groups, right? But your primary group are the persons you're targeting. But they may not have bought from you yet. They may just be coming across your brand or your business, but you want to turn them into customers. And that's where the community can really help you. And that's why you need to be building relationships, blah, 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 blah. But you are also bringing into the fold your customers that would have already bought from you. You're creating a space where they can come and engage with you. And that way you can keep customer retention high. Because nobody wants people to just buy from them one time. So in order to keep customer retention, you have to make sure that you're using your platforms correctly. And this is where email marketing come in, but that's not the course you're doing, okay? All right. Let's look at communicating on social media, right? And guys, I'm gonna go to a little bit quick because we have 10 minutes left and then we go to tutorial. Communicating on social media is vitally important, and you can't bring your same attitude way up on the phone to social media because people will screenshot it and embarrass you. You don't do it, okay? All right. What do we mean by communication? What do we mean by social media communication? Because yes, it is a different type of communication. And it's because of the devices that you're using and how the algorithm functions and just how people behave on the platforms. So when we're talking about social communication, we're talking about any piece of brand-related communication. In other words, content distributed via social media that enables internet users to access, share, engage with, add to, and co-create. Let me break it down. So we're talking about any piece of content, and when we say distributed, we mean shared or published on the platform, or posted, tweeted. And what that content enables you to do as the audience is to, one, the platform, the social media platform gives you access to the content. It allows you to share the content. It allows you to engage with the content, whether that's through a comment or DMs. And it also allows you to add to the content. And this is where TikTok is really handy because you see a TikTok video, you can respond with a video. You can duet, you can stitch, right? So TikTok, more than anybody else, allows you to add to and co-create. So what you find on TikTok is you have TikTokers with millions of followers and all they're doing is responding to other people's content, or they're using other people's sounds, or they're duetting and stitching other people's content to become famous or to attract followers. And this is something that they complain about all the time, but that's just how the platform works. Sounds on TikTok is one of you find people use sounds all over the place. And that is how musicians get increased record sales, because music is added to TikTok videos and they go viral. Even old-time music, you'll find that they get a resurgence on TikTok platforms. Why? Because TikTokers can add to and co-create, okay? So now, let's look at different ways you're communicating and what you're communicating on social media. The primary thing is, and this is where I talk about your messaging should include your brand story. And what do I mean by your brand story? Brand storytelling on social media is important because it can increase awareness, reach, and attract new followers. Though you notice that attract new followers is the last one. Because whilst it looks nice to have 50,000, 10,000, 20,000 followers, if they are not engaged, if they're not seeing your content, if they're not responding or communicating with you, they are useless to you. It looks pretty, but unless it has some added value, your follower base is useless if they're not your community. And these are two different things. All right. So what does your brand storytelling do? Your brand storytelling humanizes your brand. It links your story to your brand value or benefits, and you shouldn't fake it. And this is how brand storytelling works. Everybody here should know Terry Carell. Terry Carell is a master storyteller. Master storyteller. Same with Kalila Reynolds. What they have been able to do as personal brands, and I say personal brands, but it's no different for our business, is that they've been able to pull you into their story, make you feel, make you empathize, make you sympathize, make you like them. That's important. That's the big one. They make you like them. People will buy from you if they like you. That's how humans are. Humans will spend their money with you if they like you. If they not like you, they're not get their money. They have to like you. And on social media, you have the tools to get people to like you. If you're a brand that you are not, you have a reputation that is not necessarily good, you can seek redemption online. But Jesus, please, if you go on social media, people still don't like your flow. You have problems. You have problems, on top of problems. Right? I'm just kidding. But anyways, so this is what brand storytelling allows you to do. It allows you to pull people in. They can have a better understanding of who you are as a brand and why and what your convictions are and who you represent. And nobody does this better than WePay on Instagram right now. Because WePay started out as a small little thing in Trinidad and Tobago, localized, and now they've gone regional. Because WePay was able to tap into something, and what they were able to tap into is the psyche of small businesses, the desires and the wants of small businesses, and one particular desire, the desire to sell their services online. And because we don't have payment processing gateways in the Caribbean, PayPal is coming to the Caribbean. Wink, wink, you didn't hear that from me. Stripe, Google Wallet, Apple Pay. We never had access to these digital wallets, and we never had access to these payment processing, which means that we have to find 5 million ways of trying to get somebody to purchase from us online. And the thing is, if you understand consumer psychology online, if they want it now and cannot get it now, they will go elsewhere. So you have to be able to get them right when they say, all right, I'm gonna buy this. Boom, credit card information, boom, buy it. Make them regret it afterwards. Make them regret it afterwards, but you want to capture them when they're ready. And so WePay realized that was a problem. And they're like, all right, we're going to conquer the Caribbean. And man, are they ever. And they tell you the story. They explain to you why they're doing this. And they talk about what they're doing all the time and why they're doing it and who is it for. That's why they did the whole Guinness World Record thing the other day. It was marketing and promotions. That's what it was. But it was also storytelling. Okay? This was an interaction I had with Flo. And when I tell you, I sent that message at 9:49 a.m. And within an hour and a half, Flo respond. And my problem was resolved in 20 minutes. Responsiveness is another form of communication, right? It's called social for a reason. There's two types of responsiveness, but it's called social for a reason. You must interact with your audience. And not just with your audience, you must interact with other people on the platform. You guys ever see a profile that have like 500,000 following and 0 followers? That's not cute. It's not sexy. In fact, it shows that you're a terrible communicator. That's what it shows. Because on social media, it's called reciprocity. You give, I take. I give, you take. It cannot be a one-way street. And don't make that 500K fool you. They're not getting that engagement. In fact, how max work on social media is the more followers you have, is the lower your engagement rate, because you cannot reach all of them. It is impossible for you to reach all of them because of the algorithm. So don't chase the numbers, build a community. Okay, so brands and businesses must engage to get engagement. It's called reciprocity, and you have to be responsive. You need to respond to comments, ask questions. You need to find out from your audience, what do they want? Am I giving you what you want? What am I not giving? What are the things that I'm giving that you like? And then you do that over and over again, okay? Make first contact. Sometimes you need to be the one to reach out to somebody and say, hey, Medea, see me, right? Sitting down and waiting on people to come to you, you're going to be sitting there by yourself for a long time. Okay? And you need to follow back. Stop this follow and follow foolishness. And if you have community members that are constantly engaging with you, you should be following them back. No, I'm not saying follow back everybody. I'm saying follow the persons who are, one, vital to your business, because they're either an industry person, or they are a news person, or a promotions person, or an influencer who has genuine interest in your product or service, or community members who are constantly engaging with you. And in fact, they cannot be your community members if they're not constantly engaging with you. They need to be followed back expeditiously. Okay? Responsiveness. But there's another form of responsiveness, and it's called social listening. And what do we mean? It means keeping your ears to the ground to ensure you are not being left out of the conversation. And that conversation could be a conversation about you, and it could be very unpleasant, and you don't know that there's this unpleasantness around your brand or business out there because you are not listening, and because you don't know, you're not able to respond and address. Okay? You need to know what is being said about your brand on the internet, and social media is a good place to start, right? And persons are going to ask me how? Google Alerts. Google Alerts. And in fact, on Instagram and Facebook, you can set it up so if anybody mentions you or tags you in anything or put you in their bios or put your name caption, you will get a notification. It is a setting. It is a setting. It is a setting. Changes in your audience wants and needs. Your audience are humans. Humans are the most indecisive, the most fickle people. Them change just like the weather, right? And so you need to make sure that you are keeping up with what they want, what they need. They like your product, but if you add this, they will like it more. Add it, if it makes sense to add it, of course, right? They want this in yellow. Give to them in yellow if enough people want it in yellow. They want these additional features. They want this add-on. They want this extra service. Listen, and if it is feasible, and if enough people is telling you to do it, do it. But you have to be listening. You're also listening out for changes in your industry. Industry standards may change. Other things may be happening in your industry that if you are not keeping on top of, trends. People think, oh, it's just a trend. Yeah, but that trend could make you money. That trend could really make you money. And trends turn into features. Trends have staying power is what I'm saying. So don't just think, oh, it's a trend. And if you know how to read trends, you will know what is here to stay and what's a fad. Because a fad is different from a trend. A fad is something that is fleeting, it is not here to stay, it's going to go away eventually. A lot of these viral things tend to be fads. But you know what's not a fad? You know, it's a trend, virality. The viral nature of content is not a fad, it's a trend. It is here to stay. It is going to get more so, right? So you need to pay attention. Now, shameless plug, Dare Jamaica is an initiative set up by my other brand, Digital Jamaica. And the only reason why I went this route to set up this platform is because I noticed in my community, and guys, when I tell you that I'm a proper internet kete, I spend 99% of my days on the internet doing something. And I'm always researching and I'm always reading and observing. And what I observed is that there's a myth, a misconception that our young people, because they have access to broadband internet and smart devices, means they're digital literate. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. And we are doing our children a disservice because we're not properly preparing them for the future of work. A lot of them don't have the digital skills to be able to get jobs of the future. And a lot of the jobs that are now are not going to be tomorrow. In fact, technology is already killing jobs. Technology kills jobs. But what it does is it creates new jobs, but if you're not qualified for them, you're getting them. And now that we're on the internet, which is borderless, somebody from Bangladesh can procure food and get a job in Jamaica because you are not qualified. And I saw a tweet go out yesterday and said, you're going to have millennials who are going to start crying because Gen Zers are going to get jobs that they can't get because they're not qualified for it. We're not talking about boomers. We're talking about my generation. If we don't stay on top of our game. So that's why Dare was created. So we can get our young people, we can build their capacity so they are attractive to employers of the future or attractive to job of the future, or they can create opportunities for themselves in the future. That was us being responsive, listening to what our community was saying, observing what was happening in the space and responding to it. And that's why Dear Jamaica is about. In fact, Digital Jamaica has so many programs in response to things that are happening in the community because what? We fill gaps. And that's what I want you guys to do. Where are the gaps and can my brand or business fill that gap? If you can fill it, fill it. Okay? All right. Relationships versus followers. Now, here's the controversy. Because every time I say this, some people can't get them because they have them 10,000 followers. No, this is Wanga Gal, one of my absolute favorite creators on Instagram. She has a podcast and she's a foodie like me. Maybe that's why I love her so much. You know so much followers she have? 3,247. This was taken yesterday. 3,247. My girl is an ambassador for Jamaica Food, the Observer Food Festival thing. Don't ask my name, I'm sorry. She has worked with top food brands like Tasty, and think about it. She has worked with it local and international, might I add. Okay? Because she worked with El Paso. If you don't know El Paso, they make the tacos and the taco sauce. 3,047 followers. I know influencers with more followers that could never get the kind of brand deals this girl is getting. You know why? She's consistent, she has a community, and she builds relationships. Don't look at followers, right? You need to build relationships with your audience and turn them into true fans. That's what we call them. And all you need is 1,000 true fans to make money on social media. 1,000. You don't need 500. You need 1,000 loyal, dedicated, true fans to be successful on social media. Just 1,000. Data. It's data. And I'm going to send you the article about the 1,000 true fans. I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to put in your resource links. Right? Because your community helps you expand your brand reach. Now, as I said, your community members may not necessarily be the people who are going to buy from you, but they can do one thing better. They can promote you for free. Now, imagine you have a community and one of your community members, in fact, say all of your community members have 500 people following them. and you have 20 people in your community, multiply 20 by 500. You see how much further your brand reach? And then remember, I said them 500 people, they have people that follow them and people that follow them and exponential reach. That's what your community does for you. And that's better than each one of them are buy from you, because now more people are buy from you. And they act as your ambassadors. They will tell everybody about your business if they like you. Yeah, man, you have to go check out that girl, yeah, man. She's nice. I like her. She vibes. Okay? Trust, loyalty, brand insulation, social proofing. That is what your community does for you. If they trust you, they're going to be loyal to you. If they're loyal to you, think of the beehive, Beyonce's community. It's called the beehive. You can't say nothing about Beyonce on the internet. First of all, Beyonce don't respond to people on the internet. She has never responded. She barely gives interviews. You don't know nothing about this woman's personal life except what she wants you to see. But if you ever fix your mouth, if you say nothing about Beyonce where her fans not like, cancelled. And it's not a joke thing. Reporters have lost their jobs because one of them said that Blue Ivy, which is our first daughter, our ear did kinky. And one of them said our nose looked like our father one, which was disrespectful. And when I tell you, say, the hive went to work and you know you messed up when in your comment section you just say bare bees. That is how you know the hive is watching you. All the bees. Every comment is just bees. And the next thing you know, you can't access your social media platform. The next thing you know, you're blocked. You're hacked. Your employer get 500 emails, boy, you a complaint, and you lose your job. You lose your community, you lose everything. That's the power of your community. And that's what we call brand insulation. It creates a protective barrier around you where nobody can say nothing to you because they will defend your honor. Why? One simple reason, them like you. Them like you, that's it. That's it, they like you. For whatever reason, they connect with you, they like you, okay? And of course, your brand can also provide social proofing, which is this word of mouth thing that we're talking about, testimonials, word of mouth, recommendations. They can provide that for you as well. Community building. Having a well-developed and engaged community is how brands attract, engage, and convert their target audience. Because your community, and this is if you're a smart business, this is what you would think of your community as. It's a microcosm. It's a sample size of your target audience, or it can be. And you are testing that sample size to see how they respond before you push out to the rest of the world. That's one way of using your community. The other way of using your community is by using your audience to build the community. Because remember, your audience is just the group of persons that you're targeting. They may not be customers yet, and they may not be community members yet. You have work to do to get them to those end goals, right? But you can use your community, your existing community, to help you attract your audience to this space, right? It's also a fertile testing ground, as I said earlier, and it is where you can deploy your social responsibility and have that proliferate and make everybody think, oh, you're so great. Because your audience will proliferate the message for you. They will share it everywhere, all over, every platform they're on. They'll make people know. And you know who do a really good job at this? Kingston Creative. Kingston Creative has built a massive audience of creative people. And one of the reasons why they've been such a hit is because they have redefined what it means to be a creative. Because at first people thought it was art and painting and sculpting and music. No, you can be a coder and be a creative. Once you are putting stuff out into the world, into the universe, You're creating something. You are a creative, rightfully so. And because Kingston Creative came in and redefined the space and expanded the space, and they're now inclusive, guys. There's something to be said about being inclusive. But not because they're inclusive, they're also a very niche group. They're a very niche group, but within that niche, they're inclusive. They're doing a very good job at community building. And finally, consistency and frequency, guys. Consistency and frequency. I'll say it again. The key to effective engagement is consistency, frequency, and sameness. And it also helps to develop trust within the community. And it is how you condition your audience, meaning you tell them what you want them to do. And nobody does this better than T from Women's Marketing Code. Guys, if you're not following her, go follow her. Because her name is T, but she drops T every day, right? And she's consistent with her content. And you know what to expect. And that's where the sameness comes in. She's not posting something today and then tomorrow she'll talk about something completely different where I'm not to do with what she said yesterday. It is confusing to people. Don't be a dog company and tomorrow you want to talk about cats. Talk about dogs. And that will follow your farm. Will follow your fear about dog. Okay? That is what sameness means. And consistency means she's consistently posting, sharing information, and she's doing it regularly. Okay, and you're conditioning your audience. So one, the audience knows when you're posting, what you are most likely to post, that they're going to get value from it, and that they should check your platforms every day. That's how you condition your audience. And you're also conditioning them because they know that you are either going to give them something like maybe a free course, or maybe you have some courses or stuff coming up. You want to make sure that they're constantly checking to see what offers you have. What do you have coming up that they may be interested in? You have to teach your audience how to interact with you. And you are setting expectations. And that way, when you set expectations and you condition your audience, always have steady traffic and always going to expand your reach. Okay? That's why these things are important. And the last thing is reputation management. Important. Right? Because you will get canceled with a quickness on the internet. So what is reputation management? And guys, I know I've gone over into the 12 o'clock and I know you guys haven't had a break, but today is a lot we have to get through because we didn't do anything on Monday, but I promise as of next week, you'll get your breaks, okay? So I'm gonna go until 12:30 or close to 12:30 and then I'm gonna stop. This is the last slide actually, I think. Reputation management. Social media marketing requires open communication and transparency, but it also opens brand up to scrutiny. Chanel, remember I showed you what happened with Chanel, which may lead to reputational harm, real reputational harm or imagined reputational harm. And sometimes the imagined reputational harm is worse than the real reputational harm. Because if a lot of people think something about you, there's very little you can do to disabuse them. And that's where the harm comes in. So let's look at Ringling Brothers. You guys know the famous circus, Ringling and the Barnum Brothers, right? Is it Barnum? They're not Ringling and Barnum. This circus is 150 odd years old. And they had to shut down in 2016, 2017 because of animal rights activists on the internet. The animal rights activists on the internet is like, no man, you're not gonna have these elephants in the ring. We're doing that. And you're not gonna have these lions jumping through fire hoops. You're not gonna have these monkeys. No, we're not doing that. Leave them animals alone. And if Ringling Brothers wanted to stay in business, they had to shut down, but they're making a comeback. They're making a comeback next year, sans animals. No animals will be in any of their circus performances. Not one. They started with the elephants, and then the activists was like, that's not good enough. and then they shut down, and now they're coming back, no animals whatsoever. Because your audience are individuals with their own morals, their own thoughts and feelings on things. And if you are not addressing those things, and if enough of your target audience has the same kind of moral setting, and you don't fix it or address it, you will lose. And they stand to lose billions of dollars, because they are an internationally touring circus. And if a country bans you from coming here because of animal rights issues, or if a country restricts the animals you have to import for your show, or if people just not going to show up, you're going to have to change your business model. And the internet has forced many businesses to change their business model. So that's why you see somebody says animal and cruelty free, or cruelty free or animal free, or vegan based or organic. What do you think these words mean? They are dog whistles to their audience, because they know that these are things their audience responds to. So reputation management, guys, it's absolutely, absolutely important on social media. And you see, because social media, real time, reputational, you can see it unfold before your eyes in real time. And before you know what hit you, next thing you know, you're trending for the wrong reasons, right? So you have to make sure, and that's where the social listening come in, to make sure that you're staying on top of things, okay?